The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv. So let's get this show on the road so we can get to court.
Okay.
And Admiral COVID is ready to go.
I'll tell you right now, the numbers are looking good. They're going down. So we're doing something right. Total cases in Massachusetts is 647,768. Total new cases, 786. Total deaths is 17,270. New deaths, 4. Bristol County is 64,985 cases. That's pretty decent, those numbers. I mean, we're doing something right. I don't know if it's the vaccine. I don't know if people are smartening up. I don't know what it is, but
combination, I guess. Heard that some people have gotten natural immunity, some vaccines, and but they continue the political hysteria to keep people in line. We got Biden walking around with his mask and said it's his patriotic duty, and then they complain about people now having vaccine resistances because people are now don't want to take the vaccine because they're telling them that even after you take the vaccine, you got to live like you didn't have the vaccine or you didn't have COVID and the vaccine. So, they're all a bunch of, this is pure conditioning, social conditioning. And and I just heard the other day, somebody, the alarmists, we might have a spike in the fall of another, it might spike. Variants and everything else. Listen, we've had diseases in this world since the world began. They've wiped out nearly, the entire populations of some places, but it never wipes out 100%. The fact is that, listen, we had pandemics, plagues, the bubonic especially, before they had virtually any kind of medicine. They hadn't even invented antibiotics. They had no idea where the disease was coming from. There was no research, just mass casualties, and we survived. And now you allowed government to get involved in this thing and make it an election issue and a political issue, and they'll never release their control on you. They want you to walk around and follow their orders all the time, and you got the hysterics on both sides, the people that absolutely refuse to wear a mask or get a vaccination. And you got the other ones that are driving around in their cars with a mask and a face shield, and they're all by themselves in the car. So I don't know if they think, it's going to, the virus is going to fly in through the window or something and get them because they're driving in a car with a mask and a face shield. So it's just nuts. I mean, the stuff that's coming out now, and from medical scientists too, is just ridiculous. So, hey, but the numbers are good. That's the good news. The good news is that no matter what happened, or with all this fiasco, things are getting better to a degree. And some states, especially red states, are beginning to open again. I saw a fight the other night with a capacity crowd last week at the UFC. They actually had 15,000 people in an arena. And so things are getting better, and hopefully these small businesses most of them can come back, because there's the tragedy of all this crap that these people have had their lives destroyed, and their businesses that worked their entire lives to build destroyed.
Well, we're getting back to some type of normal. I don't know if we'll ever get back to normal, but we're getting back to some type of normal.
Yeah, well, I hope people learn from this, because if they look at what's happened during this pandemic and who got the relief, like when Ilhan Omar's husband got $660,000 in COVID relief after he got $2 million as in consulting fees from her. The rich get rich and the poor get poorer. There's more stuff about Cuomo coming out about a conscious attempt to cook the books on the COVID deaths. Kind of sounds like they need a forensic audit like Fall River does.
You're swearing again. Ooh,
I
you're
know.
swearing again.
Speaking of forensic audits, somebody said on one of the local media outlets, they said that there may be a possibility of Kathy Ann Viveris and Mary Sahadi testifying in the trial.
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Somebody called me. One of our viewers called, told me that they said, I believe they attributed it to, and this is what I was told, that I believe Alan Zarek mentioned it, that there was an outside possibility, but said not definite, but there's an outside possibility they would be called to testify. I wonder if they'll ask Mary Sahadi about the time she went before the council and said when they were having issues with the hotel room and stuff like that and the price, and we saw what they've come out of trial, that it was personal rather than, and she said, oh, there's no necessity to check that. Wrong. So, but the trial begins today, CJ, the political corruption phase. So we're going to see.
Yes, but let's talk about what happened last week, especially on Friday after our show.
Well, your little piece at the end, the flush, the weekend flush, dealt with that very well.
Oh yeah. Oh, before I forget, yesterday was Lenny Kaplan's birthday, so happy belated birthday, Lenny. I know that you sometimes watch because Alan helps you out, but it's nice to hear that you're still going. 91 years old and still going strong. So, congratulations on that.
That's right. You got your kazoo, Lenny.
He probably still does. So let's see what happened. On Friday, the IRS agent took the stand. And wasn't she amazing? She was very clean cut. Did you see the size of those binders?
Oh, yeah. They're immense.
They were huge. They were like a foot thick. They were so big. And it was just, item after item after item after item after item. And I was like, you can't believe this. But here's just a rundown of what the IRS found. Hotel expenses, $27,023.10. Restaurant expenses, $25,121.18. Transportation expenses, $31,780.02. Personal loans and credit card payments, $37,282.02. Entertainment expenses, that must be Gulliver's Travel. $4,581.89. And a lot of that entertainment money, as I said, was Gulliver's Tavern, which was adult entertainment, casinos, and a lot of cash withdrawals. He's got a lot of cash withdrawals. And there were 66 pages of information to go through from 2013 to 2015. 66 pages just in that small amount of time. As I said, the binders were huge. In 2013, investigators estimated that Jasiel Correia spent 79% of the investors' funds on personal use. In 2014, they say that he went back a little bit and only spent about 50% of the investors' funds. And then in 2015, he used about 60%. All total, 64% of the investors' money was used to do whatever the hell he wanted for himself and his girlfriend. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the first year with nearly 80% was the year he was a city councilor. But then once he became mayor, he had other sources of income, as we see in the second phase of the trial. So he didn't have to steal as much money from the investors.
There was no money left for the investors.
Yeah, misappropriate. Let's say not misappropriate. And you know what I found fascinating, CJ, about the cross, as you said, that IRS agent was really, she was 33 years of experience. She started out first, I guess, as an auditor, and then she did. Now she does criminal corruption. She's dealt with the mafia cases and stuff. But I thought it was funny when she was being crossed by Reddington, and he was, we know what the defense is. The same thing that Jasiel was saying. I was young. I'm not really good at math. It's not my fault. Blah blah blah. And I remember do you remember when Reddington said, well, he bought that Mercedes, but if he used it for business, that could be a taxable expense, correct? And she went, only if he bought it in the company's name and he used it primarily for business, which he didn't, right? So shot himself in the foot with that question. And he said, well, yeah, but the gas and the maintenance, if he was doing something for business, that would be tax deductible, right? And she answered very quickly, because obviously she knows the tax code. She said, that's only if he kept a log. Speaking of logs, remember we had a problem at Fall River with keeping logs with city vehicles? But she said, yeah, you can deduct it, but only if you keep a log, which he did.
Right. So, and the Fall River's admitted they don't keep logs on any of their vehicles. And that's why they get away with this. You know why they don't keep logs? Because if they kept logs on the city vehicles, anything that was not business related would be taxable, and they would be forced to figure out what the taxes were on that usage based upon the government's mileage charge. All right. Can you see the chief of police or the fire chief having to pay taxes on non-business usages of those vehicles?
Yeah.
It's time that the city start stepping up and doing what's right. I mean, we have a former mayor being prosecuted for not doing what's right. Maybe they should stop prosecuting city officials for not doing what's right.
Yeah, well, a lot of things came out because obviously, how complicated the taxes are. And you've got to really have, and what does Fall River lack? We have documentation of nothing.
Right.
If you're looking for it's like the 44,000 that was taken by the city in 16, I believe, that was taken and given for healthcare premiums, and it somehow got put in the city account, and they were going to give it back to us. And I asked for the records of when that payment came in, how it ended up in a city account rather than the account for the employees' healthcare. And I wanted to see if it migrated from any other account and where it went. And guess what? It's 21, and I still haven't gotten an answer because they don't know. That's their excuse. Well, I don't have the numbers. I don't have the records. We can't find anything. We still haven't found out anything specific about the 22 windows. This is the con. But the problem is, at some point in time, as we're seeing now at this trial, when you screw up, if you're going to get caught, this city's going to be in a lot of trouble. As you said, CJ, they keep absolutely the worst records in the world. And there's no excuse for it, because I'll tell you what, when they finally do get busted, I'm going to call Neil Rossman, and I'm going to get the copy of the court stenographer's testimony when we had the grievance in 91, where we found that they had taken our money, put it in their account, and in their case, quote unquote, forgotten it was our money, even though the law says it's supposed to be put into our account directly, but they put it in their account and forgot it was our money. But their defense was, because the arbitrator's award began with this sentence, and it's paraphrasing, but I've got a very good memory. It says, it is not in dispute that the city's bookkeeping was in a total state of disarray. And the city promised, as part of that settlement in 1991, which is what, 30 years ago?
Yep.
In 1991, they promised that arbitrator. And if you really want to look it up, anybody watching, look up the arbitration, or call Neil Rossman's office and request something, and he'll probably send it to you for a fee. But it's buried somewhere now because it's 30 years old. But the city told the arbitrator, we're very sorry, it was an honest mistake, and we're going to give them 3 free months of Blue Cross and a premium index to pay him back all that money. And by the way, that was one of the holidays we got that our mayor was talking about, and it wasn't even a holiday from our trust fund. The city had to pay because they robbed our money. So it should have been in our trust fund. But they said to the arbitrator that they would fix the books, and they never have. A few years later, there were 5 accounts that they found were dormant for 25 years. In 2008, they did the same thing with the healthcare money, and we had to have another healthcare holiday to pay us back because, again, they put it in the wrong place. So the city of Fall River in 1991 said that they were going to get their financial house in order, and it never has. We still get the same answers. Oh, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the books. We don't have this. And when you say forensic audit, they all run around with their hair on fire because they know they'll all go to jail. And it's not a coincidence that in 1991, they had someone from the same firm that still operates in Fall River, and it's never been fixed. So yeah, just to show you, you're 100% right. We keep virtually no records because it's more convenient not to keep records because then nobody can ever answer a question.
And that's a shame. That's a shame. And it doesn't give me any faith in our city, accounting system at all, or in the way they manage our money, which I haven't had any faith in the way they manage our money in some time. But we look at this and we say, we have a mayor who came in who has allegedly done some political corruption. And when you look at the city's books and the way our accounting system is, it shows how easily it's done. It's kind of like taking the carrot and hiding it, putting it out there in front of the donkey, and all of a sudden you just take it because you can do it, because nobody's going to find it. Nobody's going to care. Because nobody cares in Fall River government. Nobody. And this is the sad part about it. I would like for a city council to put a resolution in that says that all city vehicles must have a log. And if you're using that vehicle for personal reasons, that must be in the log and you'll be taxed on it. I have to do that. You would have to do that. But because you're a city employee, you don't have to do that. So the city doesn't have to do the bookkeeping? Too bad. It's time to start holding people accountable to what they're doing. It's that simple. It's that simple.
No, you're right, CJ. And as that IRS agent made very clear on the stand, it's actually a legal obligation. You're supposed to be keeping those logs because basically, if the city is allowing personal uses of vehicles and not paying taxes on it, it's tax fraud.
Right.
The city of Fall River is, and shame on our finance team, or individual in this case, is no longer a team, she's a whole team. She should be requiring that. She's a CPA, she's an attorney. She knows what the law is, and she knows that we should be keeping logs. And if we're not keeping logs, we're basically filing fraudulent returns. But the state doesn't care. Politicians, look, CJ, one thing we've learned over the years, politicians take care of politicians, and everybody that's associated with a politician gets taken care of. Anybody who thinks there is equity or fairness in the way people are treated, regardless of color, it's all about money, power, and politics. Because all you have to do is look at Hunter Biden. Lied on an application for a gun permit. If you did that, you'd never own a gun in the United States ever again. Ever again. Nothing happened to him. Nothing's happened to him. They showed that they've seen the document, the application, said he wasn't on drugs. We also know what he's done with other things on his laptop. Everything goes away. So now what they do is it's their turn. They're in power, so they're going to go after Giuliani and everybody else and use the DOJ as the Gestapo to go after their political opponents. So then when the Republicans get in, they go after people. And it's all about politics. But the bottom line is the people who come under that umbrella of protection, we see do not get prosecuted. We all know what happened with Gallagher, right? We saw him in front of the council admitting he created a fraudulent payroll document. And he not only didn't get fired, he continued to be employed. This is what happens. But if you do it or I do it, if you try to file your tax return and they audit you and you don't have a log, if you made any kind of stuff and they go, did you use this for personal use? How much did you use it for personal use? They'll nail you to the wall. But the city of Fall River is allowed, our government, and as you said, very good suggestion, CJ. It should be a resolution that we maintain proper logs, and frankly, that we do our books the way they're supposed to be done and not do reconciliations and recreations. But we should have, and we've always been talking about this, we should have a forensic audit in this city and start with a clean page where every penny is accounted for, and we can go forward doing it the right way so the taxpayers' money can be protected. But as you said, they don't do it. But you know why they don't do it? It's not their money. It's our money. It's the taxpayer money. And they don't give two craps on how much money of ours that they blow. They just raise taxes and fees. And that's what they do. It's like the feds. You know, Biden doesn't care how many trillions of dollars. He'll bankrupt the country like they did in Germany in 1921 and 1922, which led to the rise of Hitler and the Second World War. Because, you know, Germany basically spent themselves into oblivion and they needed somebody to get them out. And that's when people rise to power. But, you know, it's a tragedy that they're not allowed. But we know they all work in collusion. Who do they send the thing to? Remember the time they sent the audit up to Boston? They let a politician do an audit of politicians. And you wonder why they never find anything? It's because they don't want to find anything.
Of course not. Of course not. God forbid they find anything on one of their political friends. But speaking of that, back to the Jasiel Correia trial, I would not want to be an elected politician at this point in time. Every one of them was named in one way or another in the testimony of this trial. I mean, Carol Fiola, Ken Fiola, Alan Sylvia, all these people were named in the testimony, which shows that they are keeping associations with a criminal or a criminal enterprise. I'm not saying they were criminals. I'm not saying they did anything illegal. But just the appearance of the impropriety is enough. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I understand what they're going to say. We were doing our job. We were trying to bring businesses into Fall River. We were trying to help with the economic development. But at what cost? At what cost did you do that? What did the cost to the people? What was the cost to yourself? What was the cost to your credibility? What was the cost to the city's credibility? I don't know. You know, and in some cases, I don't think people cared.
Well,
but it was interesting.
Perception becomes reality. And then because all this kind of stuff done, and here's our great word, and it's what this mayor ran on, but we don't have, transparency. If this was done above board, if you saw a picture on the front page of the paper, or there was a story, or even a news conference that the state rep was bringing a company up from the Cape to look to invest in Fall River, that should be news. Okay, it is. But when it's done under the radar, it gets questions of, well, how much did he get any campaign contributions from these people? Did they, you know, there are a whole litany of things that people begin to think about when everything is done behind closed doors and done for a select a few people who are in some kind of cabal for their, and it makes it look the perception of that becomes negative rather than a positive. As you said, look, nobody's going to fault people for trying to bring in businesses. And, the irony is these people will call a press conference and take selfies if they cut a ribbon to open up a restaurant somewhere. They love publicity. But then when they do stuff like this and nobody hears about it, it's like when they walk people into the city hall to get a job. See, those are the kind of dirty little secrets that they keep hidden, and they don't want people to know. So it changes the perception. And as you said, a lot of people who have been players in this city for a very, very long time, their names came out in testimony in a criminal trial. So that's not good for anybody, especially the city of Fall River.
No, it's not. I mean, this is one of the biggest black eyes Fall River is going to have, and it's going to last for many, many years, many years. And that's the sad part about it. Now, they had talked about the Cape Cod Clothing Company that, Alan Sylvia and Jasiel Correia were bringing to Fall River. Now, did they bring it to Fall River? I remember hearing about it, but all of a sudden, I haven't heard anything about it ever since. So, did the company come and stay? Did the company come and go? Did the company come and go bankrupt? I mean, what happened to that company? I would like to know. Are they still active on Cape Cod and doing business on Cape Cod, but they decided Fall River wasn't the place to be? And this is what happens. We don't hear the after actions, and so we're only left with what we hear in the trial. And that's the sad part about it. If I were a politician or one of the politicians' handlers, the first thing I would have done is, after that came out in the trial, I would have had a press conference or a press release saying, while this was named in the Jasiel Correia trial, the Cape Cod company is still active in Fall River, is still doing business in Fall River, or has determined that Fall River was not a good fit for them, whatever the case may be. But just to stay on top of it so that you're keeping yourself out there, okay? No matter what it is. Own it if it's good. Own it if it's bad. Own it if it's neutral. But own it. Take control of your destiny. Take control of the information. If you don't control the information will end up controlling you.
Well, you're right. But, you shouldn't assume anything, especially we know what assume means when you break it down. But the fact is that under normal circumstances, I would have to say that it never panned out. Because if they opened up a place like that, they would have all been in front of it with taking selfies.
Right.
And it would have all been on the front page. But if they did, shame on them for missing that political opportunity. But the reality is that this is not the way you do business. And as you said, look, you give them kudos for trying. If they're going to try to bring businesses in, if they don't come, well, guess what? We have to fix why they won't come, whether it's the crime or whatever. And then you try. If you're working to try to move the city forward, not just have movies and parades. That's what we've got to do. We've got to work to try to bring this city together, and it can't be done under the cover of darkness and behind closed doors. It's that simple.
And this is the problem that we have. People don't do things, out in the open. I mean, let's just remember the Amazon deal. That was so close, done in secret, and nobody knew anything about it. We had code names for it and everything else because Amazon wanted it that way, and I understand that. But once it was known and ready to go, it should have blown up. But it was still kept quiet for some time until they had all the papers signed and all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. And that just doesn't work out for me. I'm sorry. We can't do business that way. And the RDA right now is doing a lot of business that way. They keep going into executive session. I hate executive session because it screams of secret government. And the school committee does it all the time. And like I said, it screams of secret government. Well, we're out of time. Again, these shows go by way too fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast. And I'll tell you now, it doesn't seem to get any easier. We're going straight to the trial from here.
That's right.
And we'll bring you Monday, Tuesday stuff hopefully on Wednesday. And again, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, wear a mask, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great day.